You can have a pet peeve, but you only get one. Let's talk about how to actually live with each other. Hey, I'm Father Mark Mary with Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, and this is Ascension Presents. I have been a Franciscan Friar of the Renewal since 2009, so that is a while. Part of my life is living in communion, living in common with a bunch of brothers who I didn't necessarily choose, right? Like, it's an assignment. All of us need to learn how to live in common, share our lives with other people, whether it's friendships or roommates or co-workers or spouses, families, etc. Today we're gonna talk about the 4 top tricks that I've learned for healthy living of common life. Number 1, yes, you can have a pet peeve, but you only get one. Number 2, the power of acceptance. Everyone is gonna be themselves. Number 3, do the thing that needs to get done before it needs to get done. And number 4, you need to have some committed quality time. So number 1, you can have a pet peeve, you only get one. This is something from one of our priests who used to be our general superior. You can't pick every battle, and everything in the world can't be the most important or most annoying thing to you. That's just not gonna work. But you can have something. One of our guys, his one was the guy who, we have the plastic peanut butter jar, it gets empty. The guys who wanted to clean it, to recycle it, they just leave it soaking in water. I think it's supposed to make it easier to wash. But then it just sits there for 2.5 weeks, and it's like, what are we doing here? If he sees it happening, we have house meetings, like, hey, can we not do that? Mine might be something with, we have a table with a whole bunch of seats, and there's only 5 of us, and for some reason, I'm eating like this. Why are we doing that? That's not reasonable. You just can't be the person where everything is the worst thing ever. You just can't come to common life where everything is a battle. But you can get the one. Number 2 is dealing with acceptance. We just need to begin with accepting people. Because people are gonna be people, and people are gonna have behavior patterns that aren't gonna change super quickly. And if we expect them to change super quickly, we're just gonna get frustrated. Okay, I'm gonna see if they're selfish and dirty again. Oh, they did it. Dang it. Oh, I'm gonna see if they're late again. Yeah, I'm gonna see if when we go to the event, they talk too much again. A cure for that is just hey, you know what? I'm gonna accept these people right now. And certainly there's space, particularly in very serious stuff, for conversation, for addressing it. But with a lot of stuff, particularly stuff that's more annoying than harmful, one of the brothers who I live with, who's really, really great at common life, he'll go do something and I'll be like, hey, how was it? How are the guys? He's like, yeah, man, everybody was themselves. That's healthy. Yeah, I'm not surprised when the generous guy is generous. I'm not surprised when the guy who sings a lot, when the whistlers, the guy who doesn't know how to drive gets lost, and the guy who doesn't know how to cook burns the food. Okay. It's just helpful and it's freeing. Number 3, this is just building a culture of charity. Do the thing before the thing needs to get done. I think it's C.S. Lewis who has this image of heaven and hell, where it's okay, in hell, everyone's at the table and it's a feast, and they have super, super long forks, so long that they can't feed themselves. Where heaven, everyone has the same thing, except that you're just feeding the person across the table from you. So everyone's eating and feasting because they're not just trying to take care of themselves. That's what we want to go for in common life. We have a sacristan, or the guy who's the prayer leader for the week. At the end of the week, he could fill up the wine and water crowes that we use for Mass. He could, if he notices we're going to run out, fill up the charcoals we use for adoration, for exposition. Or he could not do that. So when the new guy comes in, the first thing he has to do is, okay, it was kind of left incomplete, so now I have to fill up the water, now I have to fill up the wine, now I have to sort of renew the charcoal, whatever it is. And at the end of his week, he could just, okay, well, I received it incomplete, so I'm gonna leave it incomplete. And so you would build this culture of okay, we're always gonna leave it for the next guy to do the thing. We all end up refilling it once. Wouldn't it be so much more beautiful and encouraging if everyone at the end of their turn left things great and set the next person up for success? You see the trash, it's gonna get filled up, and so the guy who's cooking is gonna have to take it out in a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and take out the trash right now. I see that we're running out of toilet paper in one of the bathrooms, or we're running out of soap or shampoo. You know what? I'm actually just gonna go bring in the next one, get it set up for success, so that the next person doesn't have to do it. And I think there's just a lot of ways that this can happen. You have roommates. and maybe you live like, you know, on the 3rd or 4th floor in like New York, and one of your roommates gets this big box. You know it's got to come up to the room. It's their box, it's got their name on it, and it's like inconvenient, not going to be enjoyable to bring up. So maybe you could just leave it there until they get it and they have to carry it up, or you could do the thing that needs to get done beforehand and actually do it for them. In our constitutions, we talk about anticipating the needs of the brothers. And can I actually like anticipate their need and create this culture in which not everyone has to always be fighting for themselves, because we're all looking out for each other, and we're being generous, and we're giving, and we're giving other people opportunities and looking out for each other because we know like we're going to receive that as well. That's super healthy. The last one is what I call committed quality time. What's interesting about like in friaries, often the communal life in the missions, like out in different places where there's only 4 or 5 brothers there in total, often like the fraternity there is best. In part because they're just kind of forced to like encounter one another. If you have to have dinner like every week with the same 2 or 3 guys, and there's like maybe some like beef with one of them, like you can't just run from it. Like eventually you're gonna have to either just like see them as a person and let it go, or you're gonna have to work it out through a conversation. Or like, you know, we do some stuff that's more shared where we're working together, and it's like, you know what, if there's a guy who's like really annoying you, and now you're about to go on an hour and a half like car ride with just the 2 of you, you know what, it's in all likelihood, like you're gonna actually work through whatever needs to get worked through. I realize it's not perfect. Some things are deeper than that, more serious than that. But with a lot of the stuff, by having this like committed, like we'll call it quality time, it doesn't allow things to fester, and it doesn't allow things to like remain there and really get rotten and really sour. In a roommate situation, it could be we're gonna have these dinners once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week, or we're gonna go on walks with each other. For spouses, that I think date night is a really great way to be together, to have like time together, but also to like, okay, if there's some stuff, we gotta be together for tonight for 2 or 3 hours, we're gonna work through it. It just kind of makes us see each other as human beings and really encounter each other as like human beings and not just whatever the thing is. And it's super helpful. Thanks for joining me. Look forward to being with you again next week. Remember, we are pilgrims on this earth, so it's peregrinos poco a poco. Little by little, but vamos a llegar. We're gonna make it.